All right, guys, welcome to your webinar. Welcome to the May Challenge participants. Thank you all for joining us. You might be joining us from live. You might be joining us from wherever you are in the world. You might be joining us on a recording. If you're watching this in a recording, just a reminder that recordings are not always guaranteed. We endeavor to record them, but if you ever miss one, we will get you the recordings if they do record the night of the webinar, and your commitment is to my invite to you guys is to watch it within 24 hours because most of them are time sensitive and will come with a request at the end. So let's get started. Welcome to webinar 1. On here, what we're going to cover is the what, why, and the how. Those of you that are on, going to very quickly show you my face so that in case we haven't met, you know who I am. This won't show up on recording. But I just want you to visualize, if you're listening to this on recording, I just want you to visualize a very pretty face. All right, awesome. That's me. My hair is not A grade. But all right, guys. So that's me. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being on. If you're joining now, welcome. A few more of you are getting on now. Thank you so much for being on. For sound effects and bandwidth, I will have my video off for most times, and you should be able to see the slides and screens. So in terms of a few ground rules, if you are sharing, then unmute yourself. If you're not sharing, please keep put yourself on mute. And if you are unmuted, be sure that you are in a quiet background. Also being on time so that we can start for the benefit of everybody else that is keeping time. So let's get started. And to set context, what we love to do in each of the webinars, set context about what the webinar is about, what we'll cover. We set off with a beautiful quote. And today's quote is, welcome Carlet, is by Woodrow Wilson. And he says that you're not here merely to make a living. You're here in order to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, with a finer spirit of hope and achievement. You're here to enrich the world, and you impoverish yourself if you forget that errand. You know, when you guys all started the program, there's a questionnaire that you all had. And on this questionnaire, one of the big questions we ask is, what is your greater why? And really getting connected to your greater why is what's going to serve you, keep you empowered, and keep you present to why you set up to do this and take on transforming your health in the first place, right? It's when you really get connected to why you exist, whether you want to be a phenomenal father, you want to be around for your kids, whether you want to be a phenomenal entrepreneur, a businessman, a banker, a doctor, a mom, a midwife, a nurse, whatever it is that you want to be the most phenomenal at, whatever it is that you find is your purpose that you get to fulfill and contribute to other people, you have to keep reminding yourself of your relevance, your self-worth, your love for yourself, the purpose that you exist to keep you going in action. Because signing up to a challenge like this, many of us are influenced by results we've seen. Many of us are influenced by a health scare. Many of us are influenced because our partner told us to and they paid for us to be on this program. Whatever your reason is, right, you start off with a bit of enthusiasm or hope, and it's easy that that would fizzle out if you're not connected to who you are as a person, as a brand, and the way you do everything. The way you participate in this program is the way you participate in many and most areas of your life. So I invite you to not process and treat your life in various silos, but to consider that you need to be multifaceted. You need to have all areas of your life working: career, relationship, love, sex, health, everything. And while we coach on health, really what we coach on really empowers you in all areas of life. So at the start of every webinar, we're going to go over what the objective of the whole webinar series is, of the objective of the challenge. And it's a key reminder. Sometimes people get unclear what they're doing and why they're here. And so we will read this out. We generate it at the start of every webinar. And I'm going to ask one of you to volunteer to read it, to basically read the slide, starting from the Inspiring Life series right up to Choose to Start Living. And once you've read that, we're going to generate this at the start of each session. And I'd love for you to share from one week to the next, what out of these objectives are you seeing showing up in your life? Some of you might have already seen something show up in the 4 days of your program. So who would like to go? You've got a hand raise button, or you can unmute yourself and start speaking. So please unmute yourself, and I want you to read this out and introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you. Carlette, is that you?
All right. Oh my God. Hi. Yeah. I really resonate with the first two. I
Do
really
you
want
want
to
to just
achieve
read it out
that.
for us and then share what's
Social.
coming up?
Okay. All right. So number one has altered. So I'm going to be a person that has altered my relationship to
Yeah,
food,
sorry, just start
exercise,
from the
and
start, the
myself.
Inspiring Life series.
Okay. So welcome to life.
Yeah.
The objective is at the end of this challenge, I will be someone who has altered my own relationship to food, exercise, and myself. And number two, understands the real role of my body, mind, and intellect. And number three, which is a bit foreign to me, leverages social media to inspire my community and my world to live a healthy lifestyle to transform lives.
Yeah, and the last bit?
Social media is now filled with positive, healthy, and inspiring content. The world and the lives around me are now inspired and choose to start living life.
All right. And so what are you seeing showing up for you already in the 4 days since you've started?
My legs are aching. I've only been walking, but I feel intellectually that I'm getting stronger because I've never used to do any exercise before. So yeah, it's a new challenge, and I'm looking forward to the end result.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well done. It's a good thing that your legs are feeling sore. And it's all because doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, is insanity or wishful thinking. And you've now engaged in a new
Mm-hmm.
set of actions, which will correlate with a new set of outcomes and results throughout the program for as long as we stick to the design of the program. All right. Thank you so much for generating that. If you could mute yourself at your end, and then
It's all right.
unmute yourself whenever you're sharing next.
How do I do that?
There should be a mic button. You just click on the
How
mic.
do I do that? Oh,
Yeah, excellent. All right. So very quickly, that was Khaled. Thank you so much. Very quickly. So be ready to unmute yourself. I just want to hear who's on the call. 2 people. So someone to go first. Just tell us your name, where you're from, who you are, what your greater why is, and you can share any of the other stuff, but I want to hear 2 things specifically from you. One thing that you're really, really, really proud of, like bragging rights, proud of it. Like you really wish everyone should know this about me. Like we must think you're obnoxious when you tell us that story. And the second one is one embarrassing thing about you. So to set the ball rolling, I will go first, and I'll introduce myself. So as you guys know, obviously I'm Ronnie Rich. Some of you have met me in person. We know each other from before, and I'm here in London. I'm originally from Zambia. My greater why is really to be at the source of empowering others to discover their unlimited potential. And what I mean by that is I really discovered how phenomenal the mind and the human body is, and that anything is achievable. And that was really empowered by my health transformation, transforming my career, and a lot that I'm up to in the leadership space. And so, what you can all count on me for is that I'm here to pour out and be there for you 24/7. Well, whenever I'm awake and look at my phone or can answer my phone, I'm here to support you for the purpose of this program in any and all areas of health. And often, a lot of our health is integrated with areas like relationship issues or emotional issues or breakdowns in career or other things that we stress about. And so, I'm really here for you for whatever you may be dealing with. So you can count on me for that. You can count on me to answer any questions that you have, and wherever I don't have an answer, I will get the answer. Uh, there's questions I want to ask you guys. We look at this towards the end of the webinar, but what's a point of view that you give up of yourself? A point of view that I give up of myself is I'm looking to enhance our product offering to leverage a lot of technology to make it automated, and I give up that it's hard to find somebody to partner with, that it's hard to find that right person in the tech space. I give up that that's a hard piece, and this person will show up with very simple actions and steps. One thing I'm really, really, really proud of, my bragging rights that everybody should know of, is that in 2014, when I was 103 kilos, I said yes to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I lied to the person I said yes to, but by declaring it out there, it ended up becoming reality. I had to eventually go, and I went to summit Mount Kilimanjaro at 100 kilos. And in 2014, there was this craze of the ice bucket challenge. And at the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, I did the ice bucket challenge at minus 20 degrees. And it was, I didn't know what happens to water at minus 20 degrees. I've missed that day of school, and it freezes on your face. That's what happens. And that's what happened to me. And I thought it was really epic. And I was going for a Guinness Book of World Records for the highest ice bucket challenge. But Guinness Book of World Records said that was no demonstration of skill. And I've got it recorded on video and it's on YouTube. And I thought, wow, absolute numpties, how hard it was to do that and the pain I had to endure. But they say there's no skill involved. So unfortunately, no Guinness Book of World Records. And then a few other guys have done it as well. And so nobody got it anyway. All right, one embarrassing thing about me. And I'm going to share something really embarrassing. When I say embarrassing, I'm going to open the space for you guys to give you freedom to share. One thing that's going to cause your transformation is being really free with those worst nightmare scenarios of yours that you don't want anyone to know about. And it's liberating when you can let go all the interpretation and meaning you make. So mine is, when I say embarrassing, when you share yours, I want you to be clear that everyone else on this webinar thinks, oh my God, I've literally signed up to the wrong thing. This is not for me. That's how embarrassing I want it to be. So mine is, mine is that when I was a kid, I used to wet my bed till the age of 6, then the age of 7, then the age of 8, then the age of 9, then the age of 10. I used to still wet my bed. And it was bloody embarrassing growing up like that. I couldn't always have sleepovers at friends' places. But the bloody thing continued. I'd always get the occasional wet bed visitor up to the age of 15. And I think I once had a token one at the age of 18. And this is not me out drunk and pissed. It's just, for whatever reason it was happening. And I used to be really embarrassed about that. And I just found that it's something that happened to a lot of famous people. But I'm indifferent, so I'm sharing that with you. All right, so who's going to go next? We've got to go quick because we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. Come on, mine wasn't that bad, guys. You can unmute yourself. Give me some sympathy.
It's Chris here.
All right, Chris, go for it.
Thanks for your share. I guess I got next.
Go for it.
I haven't really thought about the embarrassing thing, but I'm sure. Okay, so something I'm really proud of is that
so you just go
had cancer and hello.
Yeah, sorry, just tell us your name, where you're from, your greater why, and then something you're really proud of, something embarrassing.
Okay, so my name is Chris, and I'm from London, and I'm originally Greek Cypriot, like my family. And my greater why is to be healthy and happy and inspire others to be the same and support others around me. And something I'm really proud of is that about 7 years ago I had cancer, and nothing too serious, and I've made it, got through it all right. And I got my life back on track, and now everything is perfect, health is great, and I'm just here to get fit and healthy. Something embarrassing for me is when I was a kid, I used to bang my head on the pillow until I fell asleep. I just always find out that, it's quite a weird thing to do. But yeah, that's my share.
Awesome. Lovely, Chris. Thank you so much for leading, going first. Really amazing. Congrats on conquering cancer. It's another Chris beat cancer. I don't know.
Thank you. Well, it wasn't too serious. Sorry?
Yeah, I think it's not about it wasn't too serious. I think the fact that we conquer something, right, when we've overcome it, we look back at it as it wasn't too serious. And you get connected to the greatness of that when you get connected to the impact that C word has on many other people in their lives.
Oh, definitely. It's a big impact, definitely. And for me, it was quite a bit of a mental impact. But you know, um, like for me, staying positive and was the biggest thing, and it made a big difference.
Yeah.
You know, big difference to everything.
Awesome.
You know, but you know, touch wood, it's all good.
All right. Awesome. Phenomenal. Who else
Okay.
would like to go next? Somebody very quickly. Michelle, Pooja, I'm looking at your names. Let's go and mute yourselves, guys. Michelle, go for it.
Hey, it's Michelle. I'll go.
Yeah.
Right, so my name is Michelle. I live in London. Pooja, who's also doing the challenge, is my wife. We thought we would try and tackle this together. I think aside from having our separate aims, we both have the joint aim of trying to be better parents and being there for our little one. We recently had a baby in December. My other parts of my greater why are, generally trying to get fitter myself. I used to weigh 120 kilos a few years ago. I managed to lose 20 of those in between just working out myself with a personal trainer and also a healthy diet, which my wife was instrumental, then girlfriend was instrumental in. I think that's something that I'm definitely, I guess, something embarrassing. Something embarrassing is that when I used to go on holiday with all 120 kilograms of me, I used to particularly enjoy jumping into swimming pools, and belly flops were kind of a thing then. Now that I think back, that's a pretty embarrassing thing to be doing. A grown man belly flopping into a pool when he weighs that much and looks that big. But there we are.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. We've all been there. We used to do that, and that became how we in this whole world of personal development, there's a thing which is identifying the 6 human needs. And at some point, one of them is the need for significance. At some point, all of us in our life, we use the things that we laugh at or others laugh at us about to gain attention. It's actually how most comedians identify their skill to create laughter, because they're able to share in a way that communicates to others the points of recognition. So people usually laugh. It's laughter of recognition. They're not laughing at the person. They're laughing at them relating to something themselves. But it's how comedians discover or grab their significance. And so a lot of us, the art of self-sabotaging, the art of doing that where we jump in and where that was embarrassing, and then we become okay with it, we become almost numb to it, is all driven by one of the 6 human needs. So amazing. Thanks a lot for sharing. I'm going to quickly very crack on, and some of this we covered in the pre-challenge webinar. If you didn't watch the pre-challenge webinar, please do watch it, but I just need to very quickly touch on. So FITBANKER, what we are and what we're not. We're effectively an education program. We're delivering this online. We leverage, obviously, email, internet, webinars, social media to deliver this. Our program is very transformational, and it's really learned experientially. You're not going to learn this by theory. We can give you all the slides. You won't learn it. You can read everything. You won't learn it. This is going to be learned through discovery. We're going to talk a bit more about that. What we're not is we're not a gym. We're not offering personal training, not nutritional advice. I am a qualified personal trainer and a nutritionist. I cover nutrition as part of my personal training qualification, level 3 personal trainer. But I'm not in person with you. So my contribution to you will really be able to make more of a difference the more you contribute to me by sharing what's going on with you, sharing your participation, letting me know you're alive, letting me know you're in action, taking videos, literally bringing freedom, giving yourself license to share so that there's something for us to see and contribute to, whether you're stuck, whether you're struggling. I told Pooja today, there's never too many questions in a day. And there's loads of questions at the start. So really, whatever comes to mind, keep asking, keep asking. We will answer them, and we'll also tell you where they will be covered in a webinar. And if it's something that we thought, wow, that was brilliant, and we don't have it in a webinar, we will get it in a webinar. We do have on our campus or in our team people who are personal trainers, people who are nutritionists, people who are medical doctors. We have people that are specialized in a host of areas that are there to support you. We have midwives, we have naturopaths, we have people that are, I forget the name of the doctors that specialize in your whole digestive system, and they've done the program, and they, despite them specializing in the area, they've done this program to lose their weight and lost loads of weight. And they're also there and available to have you or support you with any questions. However, anything that is really a medical issue, an illness, an injury, right, we aren't treating you for that. We aren't going to diagnose you with anything. You need to go and seek medical advice, professional advice for that. Inside of the world, the country, or whatever the rules and regulations of that are, prioritize that first. And any exercise that you're unfamiliar with, get a personal trainer, get somebody to show you, get what's called a training instructor in the gym to point you to how to do or use equipment properly. So what's going to get the most for you out of your program is attending 10 out of 10 webinars. I can't emphasize enough. We're now in our about 14th or 15th challenge, and all the people that you see have got phenomenal results. They attended 8 at a minimum 8 webinars in person. Even attending in recording, you might watch the recording. Recordings are not guaranteed. But watching the recording isn't as impactful as attending webinars live. So please try to get 10 out of 10. You've been provided the dates, diarize them in and really make that happen. Move things around to be on the webinars. It's 1 hour of a week that we're asking of you. Timeliness, being on 5 minutes before, really sharing your participation and your actions out there. It's the best way to learn is to teach. So as you try to share on your page, sharing somebody something that you've learned, or sharing that you're taking on your health, increases and continues to widen people's expectation of you. We show up inside of what people intend of us. The more I shared through my own 90-day program, the more people were like, come on, Ronnie, you can do this. And not just the moral support, but that I have a listening of my word, that if I give my word to something, I do it properly. That's how I play. And that's how I'm going to invite you guys to play, is that when you share that this is what you're doing, that's what people expect of you for 90 days. Play it by design. Coming onto this program to do the same old is going to not alter anything for you. Keep asking questions, ask on the webinars, ask on FITBANKER campus. There's a world of people on the campus that have done it before you. Ask the exact same questions. We seldom get questions that haven't been asked, and they are people there that would love to support you and answer you. This, again, is experiential. So take on the assignments that we give you. Some of them might be like, oh, I know if I did that, this is what it would feel like, or this is what I would understand by it. Consider that you won't know if you've never done the actual action. So take on the actions that we offer you. If it means recording something, sharing something, documenting something, calculating something, take those on. We recommend you take them on within 24 hours of the assignment being given to you. Okay, so beautiful quote about that method of learning. Benjamin Franklin says, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. I want each of you to consider that you are leading the rest of your team. We'll talk about leaders and teams in next webinar, but start relating to yourself that because you do something, that's why others on your challenge are doing it too. So what causes the phenomenal results that we've caused, right, is simply your participation commitment, moderation and consistency, the science and the math of the formula, the psychology of how it works. We'll talk about why is that looking like an odd slide? Okay. Moderation and consistency, what we mean by that is really you don't have to cause a burnout. Don't suddenly go and if you were doing nothing, go for 3-hour gym sessions. If you were doing nothing, go for, you're running 1 kilometer, suddenly start running 20 kilometers at weekends. That's a brilliant way to cause burnout. But what will cause results is moderation and consistency. We're going to provide you with all the technical knowledge, which is the science, the math, and the formula about what you need to know around the area of health. We focus on health, and then the psychology of how it works. We'll also cover the model of transformation. Just going to pause here for a second because I'd updated the slide, but it doesn't seem to show. Just bear with me. I want to see that it's showing and saved. Just a sec. All right, as I thought I had. Okay, there we are. Can you see my screen? Yeah, okay. So I'm hoping you see the screen right now, which is showing the 4 bullet points under number 1, the model of transformative learning. I'll talk to you about that in a second. Moderation and consistency, and our focus is on health. So we're always going to talk about health-related stuff, things like body composition, understanding your body type. We don't judge anyone on shape of your body. We don't judge people on your weight. Those are just outcomes. They're byproducts. Focus on the matters of health that we're going to talk to you on. Focus on those that are lifestyle. Focus on those that are going to cause a permanent and lasting shift. Monitor and measure those things that are health related, and we're going to share with you those are things like your body composition, your fat percentage, muscle mass, your calories, your fat burning zone. We will talk to you about all that, the technical side of what you need to know about that. What inhibits learning? Why do people not complete the program? So I'll give you an example. There's Bonnie in the February challenge, Bonnie Marshall. I think she's encoring, so she's also going to be on this program with you. But you will see she signed up, and she's one person. I think she was on 9 out of 10 of the webinars, if not 10 out of 10. And she had a last webinar for the February challenge yesterday. She's choosing to encore, so join this next challenge, join yours, and be with you for the next 3 months. You'll see her results come out this weekend, and you'll see from her participation what, 10 out of 10 webinars and the results that she will get. She'll be sharing them basically on Friday or Saturday. What gets in the way of learning is people just believing what they hear blindly and not fully understanding it. So it really matters that you understand, because when you understand, your mind packages that as new common sense, and when it makes common sense, you're empowered to take those actions. The more you know, the less you learn. So we've had people that have studied being a personal trainer. We have people that have done naturopath degree or some form of nutrition, and they come on with a lot of their points of views. Yet there was someone that came on to transform their health out of their own choice. There was somebody that was overweight. There was somebody that had a very imbalanced body composition. And if you come on with what you already know that you know, you're going to be stuck inside of your old world. So we need to disappear that to really allow you to get contributed to learn something newly. And some people are very competitive. So when we're very competitive, people want to be up against people. But this challenge is not against others. You're only competing with yourself. The human spirit, the human mind is naturally competitive, but you have to learn to compete against yourself. Conquer yourself. Don't compare to others when they're sharing and they might have lost 4 kilos and you've lost 500 grams, or you've even gained half a kilo, by day 10. Don't be discouraged to share. You are up against yourself, and this works for everyone that plays by its design. Sometimes people have these massive expectations of a big reveal, like we're going to show you some rocket science methodology that will, in your sleep will have fat explode. We won't be doing any of that. We're going to give you very simple education. So, don't have a gap in this massive expectation and what we'll offer. It's how we deliver what we deliver, the order and the sequence in the way it's delivered, that will really rewire your mindset. We'll talk about that in a second again. And not trusting the process. A lot of people have this view where I need to first know all the theory. In the world of performance, I need to understand fully how the engine of a Formula One works before I go for an F1 race. Whereas F1 race drivers don't know how the combustion works, and they just go for it. So we're going to invite you to trust the process and go and trust that this engine and this machine called the FITBANKER Challenge works, and you've seen the results that have come ahead of you. So let's look at the model of transformative learning, right? Each of us have in our mind already a way that we understand health and fitness. So I thought I already know what it was. I go to the gym while I was at work at JP Morgan over lunch. I would eat what I thought was healthy. I would eat what says organic. I would see it's freshly cooked. It would be nice. It would be tasty. It didn't look like processed food, and I would eat it. I thought I already knew this. And all I have to do is now I have to eat less. I'm eating too much. So everything that I knew was inside of what's called a mental construct. So we have an experience in life and we have an interpretation. So, oh, last time I didn't eat for 2 days, I lost weight. Last time I fell sick, I lost weight. So I made an interpretation that if I don't eat for a period, I will lose weight. That model was bankrupt. It wasn't letting me go beyond a certain level, and it wasn't healthy, and it was suppressing my mind. It wasn't addressing the desires of my mind. And how that works is our mind have these synapses. So we get these little neural connections that happen inside of our brain. And when something happens, we make a meaning that, oh, I had that food last time and I felt phenomenal. Or I had that food last time, I had the runs the next day, not touching that food again. And we get these little neurological connections that happen. And the more that they happen one area, another area. We start proving a conclusion that it's true that every time I go for that session, I am sore, or every time I eat those foods, my stomach gets messed up. We make all these decisions on a very small universe of research. And over a period, we've created this thing, this way of looking at the world called a mental construct. That's how all the neurological connections have happened in our brain. So every time we process dealing with health and fitness or food or exercise, it goes through this same pattern. In Vedas, in Vedic terms, it's called a vasana, right? So it's like a groove in our mind. If somebody tells you you're ugly, whenever you hear the word ugly, it triggers that self-conscious and you're mindful of yourself. If someone told you you're fat and you hear the word fat or people discussing weight, you get triggered and you get stopped from being self-expressive or trialing out something in that area because your mind is processing that presentation of data to the same mental construct or vasana that existed in a particular area. However, in transformative learning, we're looking to create a paradigm shift. So what we mean by that is we're not trying to bend some of these neurological connections. We're not trying to twist them, right? What we want to do is first just acknowledge that those connections exist there. They are formed. They were already there. We've accepted them. We live inside that world. We're kind of inside that trap. You have to first acknowledge that you're in there. So there are a few things we're going to identify that we already know about something. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to build something brand new from scratch. We're going to replace the existing with a model that we will design. So consider that all your life to the age of 30, 32, 35, 37, 40, 43, however old you are on this program, 50, 60, 70, like my dad did this at the age of 70, he found that he could rewire his mind to understand health in a new way. He couldn't have masala tea, Indian masala tea or masala chai every morning. He couldn't have it or fathom that it can exist without 2 teaspoons of sugar. Now he is 20 kilos lighter and is off his cholesterol medication and high BP medication because he was rewiring it. And he doesn't feel like he's punishing himself. He's enjoying it. And now his reward system is sending me photos of, look at my fat percentage. It's come down to this. I now walk 7 kilometers a day. I now walk 8 kilometers a day. He now has found different things to reward his mind that are not sugar. So he found the way we're going to learn in causing this paradigm shift is not me telling you to do things a certain way. It's going to come from your discovery. Your discovery is going to come from you coming onto the webinars hungry, to learn. And it's not what happens on the webinar, it's what happens outside the webinar. When I say try recording that food in the app, see what it tells you, weigh the food, try cooking this way, try altering the recipe this way. When you try that, you will discover something. When you discover something, it makes a lasting impact and it starts to build new neurological connections, and that pattern starts redesigned, and we have a new mindset that comes in its place. So that's what I'm asking you guys to do. That's the way transformative learning is going to work. So how does it work? Again, we spoke about this on the pre-challenge webinar. If any of you have not seen this, few things you need to understand. We're going to first introduce the concept of accountability to energy. We're working in the area of health. And what is the definition of health? There's a difference between health and fitness. Fitness is sort of a subset or something that we build on top of a foundation of health. Our focus is on health, and you will also transform your fitness. But health is, think of us, our body, as a vehicle that is a vessel through which energy flows. We put energy in the form of food, water, and oxygen, and we release it in the form of walking, exercising, running, thinking, strategizing, whatever it is we do, right? So we are just a vessel through which energy is never created or disappeared. It's only transferred from one form to the other. But what we want to do is this vessel called our body needs some accountability. Just like in the world of finance, we need to report how much the stock price has gone up and gone down, what's the total capital capex of a company, or what is the total revenue projections for a business and the expenditure projections. Therefore, how much profit would we expect by end of the year? That's what we want to start doing in terms of energy being placed inside and expended by our body. And we do that through the two apps, Runkeeper and MyFitnessPal. Minus incorporating those two habits in our lifestyle, right, we're going to find it hard to discover energy differently around our body. Second is goals, right? All of us at the start, you had put in your questionnaire, and if you haven't completed your questionnaire, please do it fast, otherwise it will have an impact on you getting your meal plan ideas and your training plans. What is your starting weight? What is your ideal weight based on your height and your gender? And what do you want to be by day 90? So Jag, who I just met Jag now, somebody who did the January challenge. Her mindset was such that she started with her goal to lose 5 kilos. At the end of the program, she basically lost 5 kilos within 2 weeks or month one. And she lost 12.4 kilos by the end of the program, right? But it starts by actually putting in word, writing something down. So when I asked you guys to complete a questionnaire, the act of typing something out or writing it down has a connection with our mind and the way the mind has processed these neurological connections. If you hear of things like visualization, or in the banking world, we create cash flow projections. How ballsy are we to declare to the world as a listed company, this is what we intend to accomplish by end of the year? And every quarter we review it. And guess what? By end of the year, we are not far from that, what we projected, right? Or we've corrected it along the way, revised it, and eventually we land there. Because there's neurons in our brain called mirror neurons, and they match up what we visualize to that showing up in reality. So I want you guys to write down what your goal is in terms of either weight or fat percentage, or a certain time for a 5-kilometer run, or how much you want to bench press by end of the program, or how many push-ups you're going to do. Bonnie, who's going to share her results, she didn't know what a plank was. She now planks for about 1.5 minutes. She could only do 3 push-ups. She now does 17 push-ups. And I think by this weekend, she will be able to do 22 push-ups. That's my challenge to her. Planning is very simple. It's not a complex plan. We're not making a big business plan. We're not doing some cash flow model or some finance projections. Very simple plan. And what that is on every Sunday, make an agreement with yourself, or find a buddy in your group, or share it with your team. The days I'm going to the gym this week are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Or call your gym and book in the following classes. I'm coming for body combat. I'm coming for this. Pay for it if you have to pay for it, or if it's free in your gym, call them and put your name down. By planning that, there's an increased probability that you will show up there. So go to the gym. We invite you to go 4 days a week. And if it's not 4 days a week, if you're doing from home Insanity or some weighted workouts or a HIIT routine that we give you, put them in your diary. Make that plan to do it, and you have an increased likelihood of doing it. Secondly, respect yourself when you put that there. So when people are calling you to do something else that wasn't planned, tell them you've already got a wedding invite, and that wedding invite is you're getting married to your health. So, we never miss weddings. We always go for them. I invite you to do that for your health. Declaration, right? There's a whole science to you guys posting your before photos. There is massive connection emotionally, psychologically, to declaring and making such a statement out there. It brings a different level of accountability. We want to have some results show up instead of making such a big statement. Just as Obama said, yes, we can. And his speech now when he left office was, yes, we did. Or another great person I said was Muhammad Ali, who did that. Your greater why. So I asked you all to share what this was. For me, I shared what was mine, but I was driven by 3 people that died. My grandfather, who died of diabetes, my best friend's dad, who died of lung and liver failure in my arms when I was in my 20s, and my flatmate, my college roommate, who died at the age of 26 with heart attack. And he was very tall and slim, and he had an ectomorph body. And so he didn't look it, but he popped due to heart failure. And nothing in our community changed about that. They carried on living the lifestyle of eating out at restaurants, fried foods, heavy stuff, no activity, no gym, nothing of the sort. And the community doesn't do anything. So I'm committed to transforming my hometown, and that's the start of transforming the world. So find out what your greater why is. And if you haven't got one, we're going to give you one bonus one here, which is we also do this pound for pound, the most generous weight loss challenge. For every pound that you lose, we donate a pound to Able Child Africa, and they create and support schools that work with children with disabilities in Africa, where I come from, but they're mainly in East Africa, and I want them to open one hub in Zambia soon. But they are there. They're also with, if you saw, we've launched this Mount Kilimanjaro Leadership Summit. This is one of the charities that we're fundraising for, in addition to a school that we're going to be seeing on the ground along the slopes of Kilimanjaro. So how does accountability work? I spoke to you guys about this. I invite you to watch the recording. If you haven't, you got this. So please add me on both the apps under the name FITBANKER. Make sure you set up your starting current weight, your target weight, your age, and then set your starting weight and your end weight. And it will ask you how much do you want to gain or lose. Some of you guys are doing a weight maintain. Some of you might be doing a weight gain. Majority are doing a weight loss, right? If it's weight loss, put your goal is to lose 1 kg a week. If you're on a weight maintain, even if it's maintain, put it as to lose 0.5 kg a week. Then your macros or your macronutrient goals, make sure that is updated to 30% protein, 30% fat, and 40% carbs. On the Facebook Messenger group, Michelle asked that question. I answered. Phenomenal question. Carlette, I'm not sure you're still getting your Facebook Messenger. There's a group chat there. There's a few messages to catch up. Please see on your phone, set up Messenger, and have a look at the messages that you might have missed. There's nothing that you've missed that will impact your participation. So anything you're unclear about, get on a phone call with me or Emma, and we'll support you and update you. There are a couple other apps that you can use that we used to have. We had our own white label app with the logo there in App Store. It was called FitBanker. We don't use it anymore because we found low usability of it, even though we went through quite a spend to get it set up. What I mean by low usability is people looked at it once and had to play with it and then didn't use it much. However, there's a sister app to that called Virtua Gym. And so if you download Virtua Gym, and if you ever are unclear on how to do a particular exercise, there are 3D videos on there that demo how that exercise works. The third thing is there's another app similar to MyFitnessPal called Calorie, Carb, and Fat Counter. That also syncs in with Virtua Gym if you want one that syncs in with that. Otherwise, stick to Runkeeper and MyFitnessPal. And you can always use Virtua Gym for 3D demos in addition to using YouTube. So if you ever search for any names of the exercises that you receive on your training programs, you will get those next week. You can find them on YouTube. So let's begin. We've got very short time to start, and I talked to you about the science of transformation. Guys, I'm just letting you know we might be over by about 8 minutes. If someone, if that's impacting somebody's schedule, please raise your hand, let me know, and you may have to complete on the recording, but I'm going to try and zoom through. So the first step is to acknowledge where we are in the world of transformation, which means acknowledge that we're kind of in a trap. And so for that, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you look at where our view of health, fitness, exercise, foods all came from, right? So there's a little video for us to watch here. Let's have a look at this video. And it discusses what's called the agrarian revolution.
Get this.
So let's have a look at this video here.
But thanks to archaeology and paleobiology, we can look deep into the past. Let's go to the thought bubble. So 15,000 years ago, humans were foragers and hunters. Foraging meant gathering fruits, nuts, also wild grains and grasses. Hunting allowed for a more protein-rich diet, so long as you could find something with meat to kill. By far the best hunting gig in the prehistoric world, incidentally, was fishing, which is one of the reasons that if you look at the history of people populating the planet, we tended to run for the shore and then stay there. Marine life was A, abundant, and B, relatively unlikely to eat you. While we tend to think that the lives of foragers were nasty, brutish, and short, fossil evidence suggests that they actually had it pretty good. Their bones and teeth are healthier than those of agriculturalists, and anthropologists who've studied the remaining forager peoples have noted that they actually spend a lot fewer hours working than the rest of us, and they spend more time on art, music, and storytelling. Also, if you believe the classic of anthropology, Nisa, they also have a lot more time for scoodly pooping. What? I call it scoodly pooping. I'm not going to apologize. It's worth noting that cultivation of crops seems to have arisen independently over the course of millennia in a number of places, from Africa to China to the Americas, using crops that naturally grew nearby: rice in Southeast Asia, maize in Mexico, potatoes in the Andes, wheat in the Fertile Crescent, yams in West Africa. People around the world began to abandon their foraging for agriculture. And since so many communities made this choice independently, it must have been a good choice, right? Even though it meant less music and scoodly pooping. Thanks, Thought Bubble. All right, to answer that question, let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of agriculture. Advantage: controllable food supply. You might have droughts or floods, but if you're growing the crops and breeding them to be hardier, you have a better chance of not starving. Disadvantage: in order to keep feeding people as the population grows, you have to radically change the environment of the planet. Advantage: especially if you grow grain, you can create a food surplus, which makes cities possible, and also the specialization of labor. Like in the days before agriculture, everybody's job was foraging, and it took about 1,000 calories of work to create 1,000 calories of food. And it was impossible to create large population centers. But if you have a surplus, agriculture can support people not directly involved in the production of food. Like, for instance, tradespeople who can devote their lives to better farming equipment, which in turn makes it easier to produce more food more efficiently, which in time makes it possible for a corporation to turn a profit on this 99-cent double cheeseburger. This is delicious, by the way. It's actually terrible, and it's very cold, and I wish that I had not eaten it. I mean, can we just compare what I was promised to what I was delivered? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is not that. Some would say that large and complex agricultural communities that can support cities and eventually inexpensive meat sandwiches are not necessarily beneficial to the planet or even to its human inhabitants. Although that's a bit of a tough argument to make, coming to you as I am in a series of ones and zeros. Advantage: agriculture can be practiced all over the world, although in some cases it takes extensive manipulation of the environment, like, irrigation, controlled flooding, terracing, that kind of thing. Disadvantage: farming is hard. So hard, in fact, that one is tempted to claim ownership over other humans and then have them till the land on your behalf, which is the kind of non-ideal social order that tends to be associated with agricultural communities. So why did agriculture happen? Wait, I haven't talked about herders. Herders, man, always getting the short end of the stick. Herding is a really good and interesting alternative to foraging and agriculture. You domesticate some animals and then you take them on the road with you. The advantages of herding are obvious. First, you get to be a cowboy. Also, animals provide meat and milk, but they also help out with shelter because they can provide wool and leather. The downside is that you have to move around a lot because your herd always needs new grass, which makes it hard to build cities unless you are the Mongols. By the way, over the next 40 weeks, you will frequently hear generalizations followed by unless you are the Mongols. But anyway, one of the main reasons herding only caught on in...
All right, guys. So that's the bulk of what I wanted to cover from the video. The key points that I wanted to stick to, let me just make sure you can see the screen, is that we need to understand that the background of the world we came in, now we've got to this world where we're all involved in various skill sets, but ultimately the human body, we are hunters and gatherers. And we would spend about 1,000 calories, as an example, to find 1,000 calories of food. And days that we didn't find food, our body has this storage mechanism called fat. Now we live in a world where if we missed in that day, if we didn't find food or gather or hunt something, then it would survive, it would keep us going for another day or two till we had to go and search and hunt, gather more food. But now we're in a world where after the Agrarian Revolution, we can pick up stuff that from the agriculture guy, the farmer guy, that now is another guy up the chain called the food manufacturer, food processor, and they make this readily accessible and available and delivered online to our doorstep whenever we want that. So we are hardly going to go to starvation, or that we will need that storage or surplus that our bodies were designed to do. Knowing that, we've accumulated a lot of surplus that one day it will be useful philosophy around the stored energy around our waste, and we don't really need that. And we're in a world now that when the food manufacturers and processors came in, their focus is not on our body's needs. Their focus is their survival as a company organization. So they focus on how can we make it most cheapest, so cost and efficiency. How quickly can we get it served to them? Some of the quickest ways to heat food are frying them, but not necessarily the healthiest. That's why a lot of foods we fry. But in no culture is frying food healthy. Frying food is never healthy. Yet we eat, and we have a lot of our snacks that are designed around fried stuff. We have fries, we have samosas, we have a lot of dishes that are prepared to us fried, and some of us, we literally make spirals of sugar and fry them, and then we call them treats or desserts. But they totally abuse our body, and a lot of the oil is a foreign body that is not digestible by a lot of our bodies, and so we end up destroying our bodies, right? And that's all driven by food manufacturers and food processing industries that are trying to find the cheapest and quickest way, and then they add stuff to make it tasty so that you're hooked on it and stay hooked on it. And now we are victim to that scenario. If we distinguish that that's where it comes from, we can liberate ourselves from it. So first, like I said, to acknowledge the world that we're in. Secondly, is our own world inherited from the 3 M's. The 3 M's are what I call mums, media, and masses. A lot of us live in a world where, no, my mum used to do that, or our culture does that. And what I mean by mums is effectively culture, not making anyone's mum wrong here, not my mum, not any of your mums. But our mums have also grown up in a world where they inherited a lifestyle from 30 years prior, from 60 years prior, from 100 years prior, from 200 years prior. But over this period, the amount that my grandfather walked was, as an example, 20 kilometers, whereas the amount that I found myself walking was about 2 kilometers in a day, if at all, or 1.5 kilometers, especially during busy period. I would literally go from bed to tube to office to desk, eat at my desk, get back on the last 11 p.m. train or get a taxi home, and I'd go straight to bed. I would literally walk under 1 kilometer in a day, and I would eat 3 or 4 times foods that are heavier in fats, sugar, and salt than my grandfather did. So I've not adjusted my lifestyle for the change in the world around us. And a lot of us inherit a lot of this stuff from a prior generation that was very labor intensive, that came from the Industrial Revolution, that came from the army era, that really expended a lot of energy. And we're continuing to eat what they ate plus some, right? And it's a lot more processed stuff in there that's designed to keep the food lasting longer, not only on the shelf, but also inside our bodies, so it doesn't break down easier. Secondly, we're influenced by media, and media is influenced by whoever pays the most sponsorship. So it goes back to those food manufacturing dudes, and they get to say what is healthy on TV. They get dentists to approve what's healthy. They get doctors to approve and endorse what is healthy. And sometimes it's not what they endorse or approve, but it's how we interpret. When we hear that, oh, honey is healthier than sugar, another way of wording that is honey is less unhealthy than sugar. And we think, oh, honey must be healthy, so I've stopped sugar, but now I take loads of honey. But if you look at the chemical construction of honey, it is merely sugar. We'll talk about that in webinar 5, where we talk about a lot of myths that we've adopted and influenced by. And masses is we do what the majority do. We go for lunch where our colleagues go for lunch. If they drink champagne, you drink champagne. If that guy goes out and is out till 3 in the morning and he finds himself back at his desk at 8 a.m. with red eyes, but is able to charge through the day, we think, well, if he can do it, I can do it. We're really influenced by the masses. We do what everyone does. We join our friends for dinner where they go, but yet we have different body types, we have different goals, and we have different starting points in terms of where we are in terms of our health. So I would go out with my wife, we order a pizza, we eat the same pizza. The next day she looks the same and I've put on half a kilo. And over a period of time, I ended up putting on 30 kilos and she still looked the same because her body type was different. Her rate of absorption was different. Everything was different, yet I was doing what the masses did. And I didn't eat according to me, my goals, and my body type. So what we're inviting you guys to learn and discover is how to eat according to you and unique to you. So that said, each of us at an individual level we have our own limiting points of views of health or fitness or exercise or food. So these things in our mind that present in their mind within our mental construct, they exist as facts. They exist as the truth. They exist as obviously that's okay. Otherwise, somebody somewhere would have challenged it. But the only somebody the world is waiting for is you, for you to interrupt what you think is normal. So I want you guys to look at what are your existing views or relationships that you have with food, with exercise, or yourself. So we're going to go through some questions, and I invite you to take a screenshot of it and answer them, and share your answer on campus. And there are things that you might ask or think, this is how it should be, right? And the question is, should it? Like, how come there are things that you do which you haven't challenged? The example is, we should eat 3 meals a day. Breakfast should be the largest meal of the day. All these things that we hear things, ghee is good for you. We hear things like, I had a view that every meal should have, in the plate, should have 2 or 3 vegetables. There should be a dal, there should be some rice, there should be some roti, and there should be some pickle. That to me meant a meal. So if rice and roti were not in that plate, that's not a proper meal. Like, I'm being abused here. Something's not right. That's the views I had. Those were limiting points of view. So I'm going to ask you guys to look at these questions. So what are these questions? What do we know about food to be healthy? Now, you need to do this, you need to write this down for you. Now, you're not going to do it now while we're on hold, so take a screenshot. What do we know about food to be healthy? So I gave you some examples already. We need to have 3 meals a day. Breakfast should be the largest meal. Just write down what you already know about food to be healthy. It should be organic, it should be fresh. Whatever you know, write that down. Secondly, what do we know about exercise to be healthy or fit? I had that I've got to exercise harder. It's very simple. To get healthy or to lose weight, I need to eat less and exercise more. That was what I knew about fitness. I had it that when I was a kid, on sports day, everybody was chosen for 100-meter race, 400-meter race, shuttle run, high jump, long jump. I wasn't even chosen for the egg and spoon race. I was chosen for what was called memory race, which means I had to run about 10 meters. I had to peep inside a box, and I had to see, there was like a Pandora's box. I had to memorize as many things as I could see in there. I had to run back to the starting point, and I had to write a list of all that I saw. And I won that race because I wrote down the most things that I could remember were in that box. And it was called memory race. And I thought, yay, I've won. But that school invented that race so that people like me didn't feel left out on sports day. And I made the decision that, geez, I'm not athletic, I'm academic. And I thought that in life we have to be one or the other. So because I chose academic, I nailed it. I became the top performing in my thing. I scored the highest in my family. I got the highest countrywide in my chartered accounting qualification. I did a whole bunch of things, and I pursued anything that was academically challenging. I would go for that so that I could become more. I could be more, and I wanted to go on learning, and that would just be a life that would have made me end up as a PhD or something. And that influenced me, my view on athletics, on fitness, on exercise. I never touched it. I never stepped my foot into that area. So at lunch, colleagues at work would go for a run at lunchtime. To me, that was so alien. Why would you run when you're at work? You don't want to come back sweaty. And they would do that. And to me, that was alien. Like, I wouldn't dare do that. I wouldn't say yes when they asked me. I'd be too embarrassed to say, yes, I will. The third thing is, what do we know about ourselves in the area of health? Like, the point of view I had that I am academic, not athletic, is an example. So I'm giving you these examples, and I want you to distinguish what is it you know. So another thing I know about myself is, a lot of us say this to ourselves: oh, I know when my body is feeling pain. I know when I'm tired. I know when I need rest. Remember, we're not telling you to not rest on this challenge. We're not saying that. I'm just telling you I had these conversations with me. All right, I'm not telling you guys to do anything, but I want you to distinguish what is it that you know about yourself in the area of health, right? You might even have one thing where you're saying, I've tried everything. Well, you haven't, because I've not seen you on the FitBanker challenge before. So you haven't tried everything. Okay, these are some more questions I want you to think about. These you can Google, some of them. So write your responses down to these. How long does it take you to walk around 5 kilometers? If you don't know, go for a 5K walk. Some of this you did in the questionnaire. How long do you think the human body can survive without food, without water? How long can we breathe underwater? So how can we, basically, how long can we survive without oxygen? I'm going to ask you guys if you can unmute yourself. Somebody give me a guess as to how long you can survive without food. Or if you know, tell me. Pooja?
Without food.
5 days?
5 days? Yeah, it's interesting that we say we think 5 days. So I thought maybe 5 days, then I would pack up, but there isn't per se a world record for it. But one name that's very famous that comes up when you search for what's the record that human body can survive without food is Mahatma Gandhi. He comes up for having done 23 days when he was fasting in protest, and he went 23 days without food, water. For some, a lot of places say it's up to 7 days, but I think there's a record beyond 7 days. And then certain of your internal organs stop functioning. And then how long can you breathe underwater? I want you to find that out because I thought it was a few minutes. Have a look at what the record is. How long can you survive without sleep? How long can you go? Like, the human body is a phenomenal piece. How long can this thing go without sleep? You tell me. Find out. You have a view about meals. Meals have to have, like I said, they have to have whatever I said is laid out in the plate. Exercise is put whatever adjectives come to mind or anything about exercise. My body is put whatever comes to mind. Complete that sentence. I am, oh, yeah, I do that, but I love sugar, or I am weak minded, or I am really stubborn, or whatever it is, write that down. Something that you cannot do, I cannot, or I'm not able to, XYZ. Complete what that is, right? So take a screenshot of this. Again, I'll send this to you on the messenger chat. You can also do it there, but please take a screenshot so you start doing this. Write this down. Have a little book called My FitBanker Challenge and start documenting things in there. And you will really see a massive shift. The more you participate, the phenomenal results. Finally, this is the assignment. So introduce yourselves on campus. So a few things. Take a video or a photo share. The first thing we want to transform is our environment. If in your house you guys have some secret hidden boxes of cookies, you have some boxes of chocolates, you have some anything that is one of the banned foods, right? And you're keeping it there for in case, or you might be using an excuse like this is for guests when they visit, then my invite to you is to take a photo of that as before. This is where it sits in the pantry or in the cupboard or in the fridge, right? It might be ice cream in your fridge, go and check. And then take a picture called after, which is you've taken it out and you've given it away to somebody, or you've given it to this guy called Mr. Bin. Whatever it is, make your environment work for you. If you have these quick fix foods or snacks, you will reach out for them when you have cravings, when you're hungry, when whatever happens. So first, alternate your environment. You can do this either by video or photos, before after photos, or just go in FitBanker campus, start a live Facebook video, say, hey guys, it's Michelle here. You open your fridge and pull out all the stuff that's not approved, put it in a little black bag and give it away, or do something with it that's not going inside your body and that's not accessible by your hands. Second thing you do is do an intro video of you. You can pre-record this or you can go live, post it in campus and just introduce yourselves. I want you, the third one is an observation assignment. Between now and next week, I think your next webinar is on a Wednesday, so don't forget, free, make sure all your dates are diarized. This is just observation. Start to observe. You haven't yet got your meal plan ideas, but start to observe when you're eating. Start thinking about like you're almost mindful to every molecule of what you eat, where it's going in your body, what role is it playing. Right now, I'm about 2 minutes in. It must have reached my stomach, as an example. What's happening in there? What's inside that food? What is it made up of? Where is it going to go? Like, how will it disappear? Think about it. Food disappears when we put it in our mouth, but where does it go? So let's look at that. Let's think about what's inside of it. So that one is just observation, and we're going to explore that more in webinar 2. The first 4 webinars literally set your foundation, and we've had people not show up in webinar 2, and then the rest of the challenge, they missed some very basic fundamental stuff that we've covered in the first 4 webinars. So please be on. All right, guys, thanks for being on and talking about the world that you live in is a limiting point of view. Remember this quote by Steve Jobs. When you grow up, you tend to get told the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world. I got told that my body is the way it is. I have the genes, diabetes, your grandfather had diabetes, so you will get it. I got told all these stories. Try not to bash into the walls too much. Try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it, you can influence it, and once you learn that, you'll never be the same again. And that's what we're going to cause for you guys in 90 days. All right, guys, thanks for being on. And that's the end of the webinar. Have an awesome week. And if there are any questions, please send them on Messenger. I just want to see, you can also type questions. No questions. Okay, any questions from you guys while you're on?
No, thank you, Ronnie.
All right, excellent. Okay, thanks all for being on. Thanks for your participation, your time, your listening, and your attention. And I wish you all the best and a phenomenal time over the rest of your challenge and your lives. And we're here for you 24/7. So let's do this. Let's have some fun. Bye, guys.
Bye.